Hey guys, back again with another video. I'm going to call this an impressions video on Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo, and this is a game I've struggled to get into over the years. It's a highly acclaimed game. You know, it's considered one of the best RPGs in the Super Nintendo, so naturally I've always kind of wanted to play it. And I've kind of bounced off on it for various reasons, which I'll get into. But I decided to give it one last shot, and this time I decided to play with a friend. Because one of the notable things with this game is the fact that you can play with up to 3 players. And this was actually kind of new at the time, at least for like RPGs, like action RPGs. And if you had the multi-tap for the Super Nintendo, you could actually play with 3 people. And the game would probably be tolerable playing like that, but even playing with my friend and having one of the characters on AI, I still have a laundry list of complaints with this game. And you know, I think we got about like 12 hours, and I tried to play a bit on my own afterwards. I played like an hour or 2 afterwards, and I gave up. I don't like Secret of Mana, and I know this is going to be a pretty negative impressions video, and I know a lot of people love this game. A lot of people consider this like one of the best Super Nintendo games, one of the best games ever made, even. And I'm sorry, you know, if you like it, that's great. I'm glad, you know, people can actually get into this and enjoy this game. But for me, I don't like it, and it's mostly due to the gameplay. I can't stand the gameplay in this game, and you know, I'll try to give my reasons as to why I don't think this game's really that good. I don't think it holds up like at all. You know, I've looked at other games like on the Super Nintendo and stuff like Terra Enigma and Seiken Densetsu 3, which obviously didn't get a North American release. Those games look a lot better as far as gameplay goes, but we'll talk about that. The story, I'm not going to say too much on the story. It's kind of like a generic Save the World type storyline where your character's kind of like a chosen one. It's, you know, it's stuff you've seen before in RPGs. It's not terrible, but the dialogue is pretty, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's very to the point. This game is very like to the point with its story, which I guess is kind of refreshing in a way. You know, the game doesn't bombard you with dialogue. You know, it kind of wants you to get into the action right away. Different compared to a lot of like the turn-based RPGs on Super Nintendo, but the story is not anything special. I don't think the translation is particularly good either, but it's not horrendous or anything. I don't think it's the worst part of the game or anything like that. I do want to start with the positives, though, before I get too negative with this impressions video. The visuals, I think this game looks great. It's got really nice 2D art. The environments are all vibrant and colorful. I like the character designs quite a bit. It's a good-looking game, and it's one of the earlier Super Nintendo games, so I think it looks really good for being an early Super Nintendo game as well. Now, the soundtrack is the best part of the game. The soundtrack in this game is outstanding. I'm talking like one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a game. Not only one of the best soundtracks on the Super Nintendo, like just simply one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Every song in this game is amazing. It's pretty incredible, and it's a shame. I wish this soundtrack was in a better game. It's such a shame that a game I just flat out don't like has such a strong soundtrack. Yeah. That's about all I can say positive for this game. In terms of gameplay, I pretty much despise everything about this game. So where should we start? I guess describing what the game plays like. It is an action RPG, kind of like a hack and slash RPG. It's not turn-based, and you know, you see the enemies on the map. You walk around and you press. You can, you know, attack the enemies with your sword. You can get different weapons in this game. There are some ranged weapons that you can equip, like a boomerang or a bow, to kind of do ranged combat. But that's kind of like, you know, how the combat like it is. You know, it is an action RPG, and you've got a whole world for you to explore. From what I've seen, there's like even a world map later where you get to fly around and visit different locations, which is pretty cool. It's got like the Mode 7 stuff going on. But you're kind of exploring, you know, going from town to town and then going to like these areas, finding these areas. I forget what they call them, mana something or other. It's basically like a collect 8 of these type things and then, you know, eventually, you know, save the world. The progression, like a lot of old school RPGs, is really annoying. It's very vague with directions. Like me and my friend playing this game, we got stuck so many times. We were so clueless as to where to go because the game was just not giving us good directions. And we'd have to use a walkthrough quite a few times, and they keep making you go through these old areas over and over again. There are like these cannons that you can use to travel from area to area, but there's, you know, they only let you travel to certain places. You can't go to like every single town or area you've been to. So the directions in this game were really annoying. And there was a lot of like annoying backtracking that we had to do, and there's a lot of situations where we knew we had to go to a certain area based on what the game told us, but it would be locked off unless we talked to like a very specific character somewhere. And it's that kind of shit that really pisses me off, and it's all over this game. But yeah, that's just one of the complaints I have with this game. Okay, so the combat. One of the notable things with this game is like the inventory system and like the menu system. It's called like the ring system, I think, where basically all like, you know, equipping your characters, you know, setting the AI on your partners, using your magic, equipping your weapons, like all of that stuff is handled in this menu where you've got like a ring and you kind of select through this ring and then you press up and down and then you go to another ring that will have different stuff on it. And this system is extremely cumbersome. You have to keep, you know, opening it up, and it pauses the game and it completely halts the flow of battle. And the simple act of using a spell takes way longer than it needs to. The simple act of equipping things, buying things, selling things, everything takes so fucking long, and it gets really tedious. To the point where I started to hate this system. Anytime I had to open this menu and deal with these rings, it really started to piss me off. So yeah, that's another thing about the game I'm not crazy about. Another thing is the hit detection in this game. I don't think it's very good. It's really awkward. Sometimes you'll swear you'll hit an enemy and you won't do any damage. And enemies have like these really weird hitboxes in this game that are so unpredictable. Some enemies have completely different hitboxes from others. Some enemies you have to get like right up close to the enemy to hit them, and it doesn't seem like that's how it would work, but it is. A lot of problems. We were having a lot of problems with like the hit detection with this game. The magic system is kind of annoying, where when you use it, it pauses the game, and to like kind of upgrade your magic to get it stronger, you have to keep spamming the same spell over and over and over again. It's one of that system. It's that kind of system where you have to keep using your one weapon and one type of magic over and over again to like kind of upgrade it, which it's grindy. It's grindy in a way that's just not fun. So I didn't like that. I don't like the magic system. Enemies can use magic constantly, and a lot of the bosses in this game just spam magic over and over and over again. Like, you can barely get a break. Like, every 3 seconds they're spamming magic spells, and it completely pauses the game. You have to get hit. There's no way to avoid most of this shit. You can avoid a lot of the melee attacks, but the magic attacks, you have no way to avoid them. They do an insane amount of damage. For how much health your characters have. Like, some of the bosses in this game are ridiculous. Like, it took like multiple tries to kill them because they just did insane amount of damage and they took way too long to kill. The enemies are damage sponges in this game. They start off okay, but by the time you reach like the 12-13 hour mark, the enemies take forever to kill. And there's like a charge meter in this game, which this is another thing I hate about this game. In order to get a strong attack off, you have to wait till this meter fills up and gets to 100%, and then you attack, and then you'll do the most damage. Don't even bother trying to attack when your meter is below 100%, because you're going to do minuscule amounts of damage, and the enemies are going to take even longer to kill. Even with these attacks, attacking the enemies at the strongest level, it takes for fucking ever to kill these things. And a lot of the enemies will fall down when you attack them, and then you're not able to attack them when they're on the ground, so you have to wait till they get back up, and then you attack them again. And you're constantly waiting for your meter to reach 100% so you can attack. So it's like this constant, like, wait a bit, oh, then attack, wait a bit, oh, then attack. And it's just, it doesn't flow. The combat has no flow to it whatsoever. It's tedious, it's frustrating, it's not fun. And then we have to talk about the AI on your partners, which is horrendous. Now, this is not so much of a problem if you're playing with 3 people, and this is why I say this game might be actually tolerable with 3 people. A lot of my complaints would still stand, but if you want to play this game by yourself, the other 2 characters you have are controlled by AI, and you can kind of set like the AI, like you can have them attack more often or defend more often, but all of this AI stuff is completely useless. Your party members will just run in and get themselves killed. Because like I said, they don't have a lot of health, and they're just completely stupid. They never do what you want them to do. Often, even if you've got them set to like attack as often as possible, they'll just stand there doing nothing. They'll constantly run into walls, and you have to actually manually change to that character to make them unstuck. And I find like you have to keep babysitting these characters, especially during boss battles, because they're just not efficient. They keep dying, and they just never attack often enough. It was such a pain in the ass dealing with the AI on the party members. It was so fucking frustrating. And then a lot of them become under level because they're not attacking a whole lot. So you have to keep manually switching to them and grind a bit so they can get up like higher levels and get more health and have like their weapons be more powerful and their magic be more powerful. It was very frustrating, the AI problems in this game. Like, what else can I think of? I mean, I've probably covered about everything with like the game. The dungeons are actually okay. They're not too annoying. There's some relatively simple puzzle solving, but it's not too bad. You can upgrade your weapons at like a shop, which is okay. The upgrading system is not too bad. You like find these orbs throughout the game that kind of upgrade your weapons. But yeah, I gotta say, the gameplay, I just do not care for it in this game. There are way too many problems for me. And it's one of those things that I think it's just aged really poorly. I'd be curious to see what Seiken Densetsu 3 is like, you know, with like the combat, if it's any better, if the AI on partner characters is any better. Honestly, I would have preferred if this game was a single-player game and you just had the main character. I think I probably would have liked it a lot more. But yeah, eventually it got to a point where I was going through this dungeon, the enemies were taking way too long to kill, like they kept spamming magic over and over again, and my characters kept dying. There's all these AI problems I was having with the other characters. I gave up. It was not an enjoyable experience whatsoever. It's a shame, because there are things I like about this game. I like the world. It's a pretty charming game. It's got a lot of character to it. Like I said before, the music is fantastic. But the gameplay, it just sucks. I don't think it's very good. But yeah, that's it. Kind of a rant video. I know usually I don't like to do these, but I figure anytime I play a game and I've played enough of it to do a video on it, I might as well get it out there, get my opinion on it out there. You know what? If you haven't played it, I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't. I don't think it's worth going back to. I'd go with something like Terranigma, for instance, even though I haven't played that game. But even like something like Soul Blazer, which is, I think, a bit more primitive. I enjoyed that game more, honestly. Illusion of Gaia I also enjoyed more, although I don't think that's an amazing game either. But I don't know. As far as action RPGs go, I think you can do better than this. I don't know, man. I don't think it's aged well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Sorry, I know, a very negative video, and I might have pissed off quite a few people. This is probably going to be a controversial impressions video because most people love this game. But yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get the love for it personally. But if you do enjoy it, that's great. I really don't like it when, you know, it sucks when you know, people don't enjoy a game. But it's great when people do enjoy a game. I love to see that. I do love to see the positivity with this game, and I'm glad so many people do love it and have like this nostalgia towards it back in the day. I didn't play it back in the day, so I don't really have any nostalgia for it. But hey, I'll definitely go and check out the soundtrack. I might buy the soundtrack. I think that's worth experiencing for sure. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.